Welcome to the Download Show, where we dive deep into the minds of visionaries shaping the future. Today, we're exploring the intersection of agriculture, technology, and sustainability with a guest who's revolutionizing how farmers grow their crops in India and potentially the world. To join me is Ananda Varma, the founder and CEO of Fasal, an startup that's using AI, IoT, and data-driven insights to transform farming into a precise, predictable, and profitable science. From growing up in a farming family in rural India to becoming a Forbes 30 under 30 entrepreneur, Ananda has built one of India's fastest growing agritech platforms, empowering over 12,000 farmers across 75,000 acres to optimize water use, reduce pesticide costs, and increase yields. His mission? To take the guesswork out of farming and put science into the hands of every farmer. Welcome to the show, Ananda.
Thank you, Tuck. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and to be part of your initiative. So happy to be here.
Fantastic. Now, you recently had what connected us was Satya Nadella from the Microsoft of CEO. Essentially visited, I think, one of your events and tweeted it out and put on LinkedIn that he was there with your technology, interviewing some of your clients, and really just being pleased. Tell us a little bit more what happened and some of the net effects of that.
Yeah, so basically there is currently a movement going on in India. Again, it's largely being pushed through the policy that currently Indian government is creating for making farmers more and more tech savvy in terms of agriculture as a domain. And in that initiative, one of the initiatives that has been done by Maharashtra government is helping sugarcane farmers use AI and IoT and new technologies to improve their yield and to cut down their cost. And we are part of one of those initiatives that is run through an institute called Krishi Vigyan Kendra, KVK Baramati. We are fortunate to work with Microsoft on that project, where we were one technology that were helping farmer in terms of collection of data, analysis of data, and then providing recommendation to make decisions on farm. And then Microsoft was also providing sort of a more broader solution, wherein they were integrating data from our source, from multiple other sources, to create basically a system or an insight that could help the government make right policies for those farmers. So it was sort of a co-op project where we were one technology solution, and then Microsoft was, of course, providing or integrating multiple such technologies together to provide a higher level insight for a large scale project for the government. So that's how we got in touch with Microsoft and Nadella. I think he came, visited the project, and took an update of what was going on, and that's where he saw our technology and sort of gave a shout out on his social media that how AI is basically driving profitability and predictability for Indian farmers, especially the sugarcane farmers of Baramati.
Now, you've been in this game for a long time, right? I've known you for probably about 10 years now. How has the competition and the overall landscape of agritech actually in India? I believe you started off with one type of crop, but now you're expanding to multiple types of crops. How is the landscape now, and what have you and Fasal have had to do to actually address the competition coming up?
So, Chuck, I think when we met first, it was somewhere around 2017, 2018, late 2017 and very early 2018 when we got in touch. And that time, agritech, and especially the deep tech in agritech, because agritech is, again, very broad spectrum. You have multiple smaller niche to it, and the niche that we were addressing was how we can make farming more and more data driven,
Right.
more and more predictable in terms of by the use of technology and data. And when we started, it was just us who were looking at a space like agriculture and trying to disrupt it with technology like IoT and AI. But if you look at fast forward 7 years, there are multiple such players who are trying to disrupt agriculture as an industry through different means of technology in the entire value chain. So we were in just one specific niche of agritech. Now you will see that there are more players into supply chain, there are more players into input, there are more players into crop advisory. So this space itself has evolved a lot in last 5 to 7 years, and the technology has also matured, to become accessible to farmer. Because again, any technology when you start, be it cell phone, be it television, be it anything, be it even computer, internet. When the technology comes first, the cost of the technology as well as the reach of the technology is very limited. But as it evolves, as more and more people become aware of this and starts adopting it, then the cost at one side goes down, and the quality of the technology or the stability of the technology improves. So that is what happened with us also. I think when we started, it was like going to every farmer and explaining them what this is, and then telling them, and breaking their last 20-30 years of knowledge barrier in terms of how they were doing things with a technology, right? So those were very, very early challenges. But now, if I go to any market and talk about IoT and AI, people already know about it. So now it has become a matter of convincing them on the value proposition rather than the way it used to happen earlier, where we used to teach them and aware them that the way you are doing it was not the most efficient way, and with this you can be more efficient. So it's more about convincing on value proposition than proving the technology, because the technology has been proven. So from proving the technology to convincing on the value proposition is the change that has happened in last 7 years.
And what, in terms of the value proposition, what works with Fasal most of the time? Is it the pesticides? Is it a cost issue, or is it a revenue issue in the sense that they can be gaining more, or is it a saving cost, or is it both?
So it is both, but the way it happens is, again, when we go to a farmer and try to explain them how they will benefit from it, I think the first questions that they ask is, there is a cost attached to the technology and how they are going to recover from it. And the simplest answer for us would be that the moment you put this technology, you will see that reduction in your resource uses. So your water uses your water requirement goes by half. Your pesticide and your fertilizer and your insecticide uses goes by at least from 25% to 50%, anywhere between 25% to 50%, depending upon crop and crop stage. So the first immediate value realization is in terms of saving, right? So they are able to save anywhere between 20-25% to 50-60%, depending upon what kind of scale, what kind of farms they have and what they are growing. And after they start using the technology, it's like if you start eating well and drinking well, you become a better person by health. Right? So the same thing happens with crop also. If you treat the crop well, the crop will also treat you well in terms of the quality and the yield.
Right.
But that realization will happen at the end of the season when you finally harvest your crop. So when the farmer finally harvests the crop, he sees that the quality has improved, the quantity has improved, by which he can now get more value for the same amount of or the same acreage of land that he had earlier. So that is how it happens in twofold. First, on the savings, and second, in terms of higher ROI after he sells his produce.
Now, taking actually kind of that value proposition, and I've assumed, and we researched that you scale it across the different states. Is the value proposition kind of pitch, is it similar across the different states? And how do you think about actually expanding outside of India?
So the value proposition remains same across all crops, across all regions, because for farmer, these are the two things. You have to save cost and you have to make more money from it. And I think any legitimate businesses either help you save money or make money. These are the two things that any businesses can do, and this is what happens with us also, or the farmers who use our technology. Now, when it comes to scaling, of course, when we began with the technology, it took us some time to build the technology, do the product market fit, generate enough awareness so that farmer understand. It took roughly 5 years for us to reach to a scale of, let's say, around 10,000 farmers. But now we are adding around 4,000 or 5,000 farmers every year. So the compounding effect of the initial set of the initial base of the customer that we have created and the product awareness that we have created is now giving us return in terms of expansion. So we are now expanding in India, adding at least 5,000 farmers every year. And then we are also now thinking about going global. We already have some organic customers who came and requested for our technology, and then we provided it to them. But we haven't been fully operational anywhere outside India so far. But this year we are planning to go global.
And to that point, if you go global, right now we're actually moving towards a multipolar world. So different regions will kind of split, and the world's more fragmented now than it's ever been. Has that changed the strategy in thinking it's harder to expand now than ever before? There's probably data sovereignty. Crop is probably a national security issue as well. How has that impacted how you guys think?
That is a very, very interesting point. I think, see, when you talk about agriculture as a economy, of course, as we are seeing the world becoming more polar and more divided right now in terms of whatever is happening. But if you look at what we are providing, we are really not changing anything in agriculture. We are a technology company which is providing technology to an industry so that the industry can improve. And if we are not changing industry itself, but sort of empowering an industry, then I think that does not become an issue anywhere. So, I'm not going to change how we are going to do imports and exports of fruits and vegetables. What I'm going to do is providing you a technology so that you can become, or any country can become more resilient and more empowered with whatever they are growing. So let's say if we go to Southeast Asia, I don't think they have enough avenues to feed their population with respect to the kind of requirements that they have on fruit and vegetable. But if they use technology like Fasal, I think what we do is we help you improve your own practices, your own production. So it's not basically going and conflicting with the current scenarios that is going on globally, but it is rather going and complementing the scenario even further. That you can become self-sufficient and self-reliant on whatever production that you're doing. You just have to adopt a new technology.
Now, let's kind of pivot a little bit through that evolution of both in terms of the industry and also with these geopolitics. Let's take it back where we first met about 10 years ago, right from the beginning. Let's talk about some of the challenges that you've had building Fasal, and how have you had to adapt and learn and change?
Tak, I think when we first met, when I came to you, I was very young. Probably just worked few years in company.
You're still young.
No, but I was way more younger 7 years ago. But I think that time there is still I think a lot of energy and passion to disrupt this. But what has changed really is we have become more thoughtful, we have become more patient, we have become more resilient and focused. Because and this comes with time, this comes with experience. So when we started, we wanted to do 100 things, because this is how every entrepreneur starts. They want to disrupt, they want to create so many things, right, to somehow sort of scale fast. But then over a period of time, we also learned that not every domain, not every company can become a unicorn overnight, right? Yeah. Of course, there are stories like that, but every industry works in its own way. Every product moves its own way, and there are a lot of factors that influences that: geopolitics, internal, external policies impact how a company would evolve, how a product would evolve, how an industry would evolve. I think we have now become more thoughtful about that. I think earlier it was just few people wanted to do something. Now we have a lot more people for which we are responsible for. We are accountable for our investors to sort of build right value for them. We are responsible for our people who are working and creating this to provide them the right kind of opportunity and growth. We are responsible for our customers and clients who have trusted us with this technology to help them grow more, grow better every day. So our responsibility and accountability has increased so much that every step that we take has a lot that goes on in terms of even thinking. But at the same time, this is also something that happens a lot more. I have written an article about it, about the dual narrative that every entrepreneur should manage, wherein whenever we start something, on one side we have external stakeholders to take care of, who are more interested in the dream that we have. But when I go to a customer, I have to give them a tangible product that works today, right? Not necessarily the dream that they're interested in, or they can, put their money into. So sometimes this becomes a challenge. When we started also, it was sort of it took some time for us to balance out these two narratives, but now we are very clear that what our customer need versus what our external stakeholders need. And accordingly, we provide what is needed for the customer. At the same time, we also create enough, or we also put enough effort into helping our external stakeholder understand how this could become really big, over a period of time. So some of these things have really shaped me, my team in general, in terms of how we have been thinking about growing Fasal and scaling Fasal. Also, I think for a founder, there is a lot of founder inertia that happens in the beginning because you are doing everything. I was coding, I was deploying, I was serving customer, doing sales, so does my co-founder. But then over a period of time, we also realize that we have to let go, because for the best way for any founder or any company to scale would be that the founder has to understand that he has to let go of founder inertia and help build more people who can build the company. Because if you end up doing everything, then you're not scaling and the company will eventually not scale. I have also realized that a lot of time founders also get into a scenario that we theoretically we call beating the dead horse. That also happens a lot, that because we started something, there is a lot of passion and sometimes even pride and ego that sort of stops us from making critical decision if something is not working right, and we keep on holding to it for a very long time till we realize that this is going to take down the company or not going to take the company anywhere. Some of these decisions have to be taken quickly. So after we realize, so we don't end up beating the dead horse in the anticipation that it will wake up and run, because it is not going to run. So so balancing these things, balancing the dual narrative, balancing or letting go of the founder inertia helps the company scale. Has helped me, my team, my co-founder, sort of get out of that zone and then start thinking a large enterprise and start building a large enterprise.
Do you think, if we did it all over again, you prefer actually to be on the early side, or you prefer to be here on the experience side?
That's very tricky question, Doug. But see, if you look at me, from a very personal side, not representing the company, but I am by nature a builder. I love building things. But again, so again, if you ask me that question, I would say that I always want to be the early side where, I'm innovating and building new stuff. And then once I build that, I really pass it on to someone who can build a large enterprise on top of that. So this is who I am. But again, sometimes you have to sort of switch gears also, that, for some time you also have to take the product and build an enterprise on top of that. And then after you can transition over and then start building the new stuff.
Okay. Let's going back to this, actually kind of personal as well, because you come from a farming family, and this is why you actually built the product and you serve actually people in your own need. Looking at farmers now, what will the future farmer look like with AI? I don't even know if there's blockchain involved, but what does kind of the future farmer will look like? What type of technologies? What type of productivity? What type of yield? What are some of the concerns that they will face?
Very, very good question. Very interesting topic, Chuck. So if you look at, again, to basically understand this from now onwards and how this will shape in future, I think let's just look at how it has happened so far. So from the dawn of agriculture, I think most of the things were very manual. Then there was a mechanization happened. So there was a whole industrial revolution. We built great machines to solve some of these problems, and then we also did a lot of work in terms of building great input products to sort of revolutionize the entire agriculture. If you look at the discovery of ammonia and a few other chemicals which really transitioned the world, which was going into a hunger issue, to now becoming a sustainable planet to sustain with the food that we have today. A lot of work that has happened previously was around So we had tractors, now we have better tractors. We had sprayers, now we have better sprayers. We had seeds, we have far better seeds now. More resilient, more the seeds that can produce more food. We had chemicals, now we have better chemicals. We have biologicals, which is not impacting the plant and the produce, but also at the same time doing the same work that a regular chemical could do. One thing which has not happened, let's say, till we started, was how we can use data as a technology or a tool to bring efficiency into the ecosystem, the agriculture or the food ecosystem. So that is where sort of we disrupted the Indian agriculture space, saying that while you have good machinery, while you have good input, while you have good seed, I think one thing that you are still missing is the technology that can help you understand the efficiency or utilization of these things and make farming better. One thing that we have already solved is how you can make better decision at farm through the technology, the data and the AI that runs on top of it. Where we see there is a problem that still exists is, while you have been able to make a decision, who is going to act upon those decisions?
Right.
Because when you talk about action, so decision has been solved, action is the next step, and action is becoming a problem because there is a labor shortage globally. Like if you talk to anybody in the world, any industry from construction to factories to agriculture, everybody is facing labor problem. Labor availability is a problem, labor cost is a problem, labor skill has become a problem because people are not staying long enough in a job to become skillful. And these people are not really very skillful from the beginning. They learn their skills while doing the job. And if they keep shifting the job, then the skill becomes a problem. Now, how do you solve this problem of labor and skill and acting upon the decisions that we are making? So this is where I think the future of farming and the future of farmer relies, where while we now understand what is the right decision to make, we also need tool and technologies to help us automate some of these decisions. So this is also the direction or the larger narrative that Fasal has. Earlier it was about farm intelligence. Now the Fasal's new mission is how we can make farms more intelligent and autonomous. Right? So with this, I think we are heading into the next step or the next journey or the next phase of Fasal, wherein we want to put the automation or the autonomy of the farm into the equation and complete this cycle that we make the decision, and then you can also automate the decision you can also automate the actions on the decisions that we are making.
And how
so creating a full full farm on autopilot kind of a picture that we see.
And how does actually climate change come into this? Are you seeing actually more discrepancy, or at least more variance in terms of, or bigger changes actually in kind of traditional yield, more changes in seasons because of the climate change as well? Is that a big factor in
that has
the nature
always
of change?
been that has always been one of the major reason why even we started Fasal, because I think climate change was the reason why Fasal actually became Fasal, because farmers had built a package of practice over a very long period of time. So they knew what to do. But because of change in the climate, their practices were not holding true. Right? So it used to rain in July, now it doesn't rain in July, it rains in August or September. The amount of rain has changed. Sometimes it rains very heavily, sometimes it rains very less. The soil, the nutrition of the soil has degraded over a period of time due to putting excess fertilizers and excess spray. So all these has led to all this has challenged the decisions of farmer and made them believe that because there is a change in climate, they cannot rely on the old practices. So they need a technology like Fasal to sort of make them constantly aware of what is happening in their farm, in their soil, with their crops. So they cannot now rely on the old practices that in July the climate will be like this, so I should grow this. No, that is not holding true anymore. So now you have to understand the climate in real time and understand the data, and using the AI you have to understand what kind of crop to grow and how to take care of the crop. So climate change has created a huge impact on, or creating a huge impact on the technologies, creating a huge impact on this industry overall. And agriculture is an industry which heavily relies on climate. So that is the reason why even Fasal exists today.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, Ananda.
Thank you, Tuck. Nice talking to you.
Cheers.